Hi everyone, Shannon with the Apogee of the Moon, and this is for Scorpio year ahead forecast for 2022, right? So let's jump in. I'm going to share my screen and get this started. And there we go. So, well, this is the first one. This is the second one. Okay, so this year, we have a lot going on in terms of changes, finalizations, letting old things go, moving in a new direction, things like that. But first off, what I want to start with is I actually want to start with, let me straighten this here. I want to start with the new moon in Capricorn. And that new moon in Capricorn is, it's going to be interesting because we have the new moon at 12 degrees, but Venus is at 22 degrees, and Venus is activating the singularity point of Pluto, Sun, Saturn, and Mercury conjunction at 22 degrees in January of 2020. So all of these planets came together at this one point in Capricorn and just kind of sat there for a day, right? Because Mercury moved on, in less than 24 hours, the sun moved on 24 hours later. Pluto and Saturn stayed there for a while. So definitely something to revisit with Venus being retrograde exact at this 22 degrees. And this is in your third house of communication, of neighbors, of short distance travel or short distance trips possibly that were taken, or maybe even this could be a revisit of trips that didn't end up happening around that time, right? Because this is Venus. Venus kind of brings things together and, doesn't make things happen, but it brings things together, right? So there could definitely be some things like that, communication, short distance trips or short distance travel, vehicles, even things like that could show up here as well. Siblings, maybe there was something going on in the life of a sibling. And so there's a reactivation of this in a different way. So there is that. And then we enter into kind of new territory with the nodes switching on January 19th from Taurus and Scorpio, or from, from Gemini and Sagittarius to Taurus and Scorpio. And so what this means is that there's going to be a change in the energy. We had that partial lunar eclipse in November of 2021, kind of ushering out an old cycle and the beginning of a new cycle here as the nodes start to transit. And so what this means is that we could be seeing themes pop up in January of this new cycle that we're beginning. And especially, between February 6th and 16th, we're going to have an eclipse activation by the nodes themselves, sitting at these degrees for, that 10 days. And at the end of that, on February 16th, we have a 27-degree full moon in Leo squaring this eclipse. The sun and the moon are squaring where they were at the November eclipse, which means that there's going to be an activation, a fulfillment of sorts in terms of what this full moon culmination point in November was bringing you or brought you. And so there's a physical manifestation that's happening, either a physical letting go of something, right? Because full moons are about release. It's about culmination, completion, finalization, and reevaluation. So there was something here at this 27 degrees of Taurus and Scorpio that needed to be reevaluated, that need to be looked at and understood and put to bed. And now with this full moon in Leo at 27 degrees, the sun is at 27 degrees of Aquarius. This is activating that. And this is saying it's time to put this down and it's time to move on to something else. So this is happening, this full moon eclipse happened in your 7th house. The nodes are shifting into your 7th house. Probably should have led with that, Scorpio. So the nodes are shifting from your 2nd and your 8th house of you kind of letting go of some type of value system, some type of revenue stream, or some type of way of making money for yourself and moving more into joint finances, other people's money, things like that. Or and moving now from that area into your 1st and your 7th house. And so what this means is that you yourself are ending an old cycle. You yourself could be, over the course of these next 18 months, letting go of old fears, old traumas, old wounds, an old sense of self that is now outdated, and moving more towards new partnerships with other people because of this, right? Because you're letting go of an old stagnant way of being and an old you, right? So an old you needs to die, a new you is born, and you're letting go of an aspect of yourself and are able to move forward in partnerships that are fated, that are karmic, that are wild, that are different, that are unique, right? Because not only do we have the North Node transiting here and we have eclipses here, we also have Uranus here. So this is going to be a very wild ride, and you know, things are about to get bumpy, possibly in a good way if you can see what's coming for you, right? So there is that. And then on April 30th, we do have the first eclipse of the year of 2022 coming in at 10 degrees of Taurus. So this is a new beginning in relationship for you. And this is with Uranus. So depending on where your ascendant and descendant are, Scorpio, this is going to show you or bring in a new, different, unique partnership. You know, this could also see you signing a contract for a home over the course of, you know, the next several months, in the next couple of years, because you have Uranus here, which is a co-ruler of your fourth house of home, family, and property, right? So this could be you purchasing a new property. This could see you signing on the dotted line for a new property, a new place of being, a new relationship could come in, you know, as well, and it's going to be different and unique and wild. But this partial solar eclipse is actually a very auspicious one. There's not really a lot of hard aspects going on. There's a lot of trines, a lot of sextiles, and a lot of conjunctions. When I was looking at it, I am definitely going to dive more into this when we get to April forecasts. So I'm going to try and change things up this year and do month ahead forecasts, so that way, you know, it's not taking up a lot of my time every single week trying to get the astrology out to you, where I can do it during the month. You can come back and revisit it week by week. So there is that as well. And then in May, we do have a total lunar eclipse at 25 degrees of Scorpio. This one is squaring Saturn, because Saturn will be towards the end degrees of Aquarius by then. So this is definitely going to be a very interesting one, where you are being asked to let something go, possibly on the home front, or let go of a contract that you, I would say this could be a contract for a home, or this could be the fulfillment of, right, of that contract that you were signing or getting ready to sign, or the piece of property that you were getting ready to sign at that partial solar eclipse. But this is definitely something that could be very long lasting. If you're looking to buy your forever home, this could be something that you are having fulfilled. This could be you moving into a forever home. The thing that I do want to say is that Mercury will be retrograde in Gemini. This is your 8th house. So there's definitely going to be some paperwork, some agreements, some, you know, this could be maybe the paperwork for the purchase of the home needs to be gone over. Maybe there's something that was wrong with it. And Venus will be in Aries, which is in your 6th house, and it is, you know, the dispositor of the sun for this eclipse. And Venus is with Chiron. So there could definitely be some old hurts, old wounds, old traumas surrounding coworkers, colleagues, employees, your health. If you have any health conditions, there could be some health conditions that pop up for you here. And there could be some changes that need to happen there as well. And then Mars with Neptune in Pisces, this is in your 5th house. So this is your chart ruler. This is, well, a co-ruler for you. This is the traditional ruler of Scorpio. And so Mars in your 5th house, I mean, this is seeing you taking action on something that you love to do because you love to do it. And with Neptune, this could be a dream come true, right? When we're talking Neptune and Pisces, this is our dream. So this could be you taking action on something that brings you joy, and it's a fulfillment of a dream that you've had to do for a long time. So that's what I see coming for you, Scorpio, for that partial or that total lunar eclipse in May. And then in October, we do have a partial solar eclipse at 2 degrees of Scorpio. So this could be you bringing something back from the past. This could see you, moving forward with something that has to do with the past, because the South Node is in your sign. And this could also see you letting go of something of the past as well, because new moons are about seeding intentions. So this could be, like I said, something coming forward from the past, but this could also see you letting go of something that is outdated from the past. And this has to do with something to do with your physical body, your physical self. You yourself are letting it go. And the fact that this is a solar eclipse, this can affect all the other areas of your life, your ascendant, descendant, midheaven, and IC. So all areas of life can be affected with this, depending on where those points are in your chart and how close they are to this 2 degrees of any of the fixed signs, Scorpio, Taurus, Leo, and Aquarius. So there's definitely some interesting things there happening. And then we do have the final eclipse of the year, which is another total lunar eclipse. And this is happening at 15 degrees of Taurus on your descendant. And this is with Uranus and squaring Saturn, and Mars will be retrograde in Gemini in your 8th house. So there's definitely some joint finances that are going to be revisited. There's definitely something that you're probably going to need to take action on in terms of other people's money or inheritances, insurances, claims, things like that. And this eclipse is happening with Uranus, so expect the unexpected. That's probably going to be a theme throughout this year, especially as the nodes are transiting with Uranus, and as these eclipses are happening in Taurus and Scorpio. Expect the unexpected. It's a given. We can't help it. So definitely in relationship, there's a fulfillment, a completion, and a finalization happening, and it could be very wild and very interesting and very different. And so then there will be a reevaluation for you, because your co-ruler of your chart is retrograde in the 8th house. So there's definitely some old fears, old traumas, old wounds that could probably be coming back. But it could also be you deciding to revamp what's going on with your resources and your partner's resources, right? Because this is the money that either comes in through clients, comes in through someone passing away, or someone like a business partner. This is money coming in through other people. So there's definitely a reevaluation going on here for you. So there is that. And now with Mercury going retrograde, in Aquarius, this is happening. This is starting out anyway. We have 4 retrogrades that happen this year. The last one does go into 2023. So we'll talk about that when we get there. But this first one starts at 10 degrees of Aquarius and goes all the way back to 24 degrees of Capricorn. So the way that I am seeing this, the way that I am kind of getting a read on this, is that it's going to start out on the home front. There's going to be a reevaluation that needs to be done in terms of your property, your possessions, your home, your family, your property, the properties that you own, or even your home itself. There's going to be something that needs to be reevaluated here. And even going back into Capricorn, this is also the community that you live in. And so there could definitely be a reevaluation of where it is that you're living. Is this community right for me? And so this is also your 8th house ruler, and this is your 11th house ruler. So there could definitely be maybe friends, acquaintances, people that could be you know, on the home front or in the home, or, you know, friends that are visiting or something like that. But this could also be, maybe there's something going on with finances with your partner or your spouse or your business partners, and it affects what's going on the home front, and it affects how you're going to be communicating with people. I will say that, you know, Mercury will be stationing at 24 degrees of Capricorn. That's also where it's going to station to go retrograde at the end of the year. There's something with this 24 degrees as well, because I want to make you aware that in 2021, this is the degree that your other co-ruler went direct at 24 degrees of Capricorn. So think back to when Pluto went direct in October of 2021, and what was coming up for you and what was going on there. Mercury is now going to revisit it twice this year, once at the beginning and once at the end. So be aware of that. And then in May, we do have the retrograde in your 8th house going back into your 7th house, and Mercury will be activating that 27-degree Taurus, where we had that full moon partial lunar eclipse in Taurus. So there will definitely be a revisit of partnerships, agreements, and negotiations that happened around that time in May. And so, well, from November into May. So this is another reactivation of that eclipse point. And so it starts out in your 8th house of joint finances, money. This could be maybe paperwork. There has to be a redo of paperwork to do with a contract or an agreement or a negotiation that happened around the time of that eclipse. And it's, you know, it's for money coming in through other people. So there's definitely something there. This could be, you know, taxes, inheritances, insurances. And I said taxes. Yeah. So it could be themes like that also popping up for you. And then in September, we are going to have Mercury going retrograde in Libra from your 12th to your 11th into Virgo. And so what's going on here is Mercury is starting out retrograde in your 12th house. There might be some behind the scenes conversations or negotiations, or even behind the scenes paperwork that needs to be filed, filled out, or done in partnership, because it is Libra, with other people. And Mercury is then going to be going back into Virgo, into your 11th house. So this paperwork that you have to kind of do in private could have to do with a group or organization, or even people that you associate with by choice, to have something revisited or redone, or because Mercury is contracts, Mercury is our agreements, Mercury is the paperwork and filing of the paperwork and filling out the paperwork and doing all that. So this could definitely be some themes here. And then when it retrogrades back into your 11th house, this is, you know, this could see, you know, paperwork or something to do with your groups and the groups and organizations and people that you associate with by choice. Who you're aligning yourself with could be up for reevaluation, but there's definitely some information that comes in with that 8-degree station in Libra in your 12th house. This could be a dream, you know, that comes in, or this could be, you know, thought and meditation or something like that as it comes into that. And then in December, Mercury will station to go retrograde at 24 degrees, like I said, at the degree that it's stationed to go direct in January. So this is definitely something that we're going to be revisiting at the end of this year as well. And for you, this is going to be how it is that you're communicating, who you're communicating with. This could be, you know, paperwork and contracts and agreements and whatnot that have to do with vehicles, that have to do with, you know, things within the community or the community itself that you live in. This could be your siblings, your neighbors, your neighborhood. Yeah, and vehicles in general, just because it is the 3rd house for you. This is definitely, make sure that you're being very careful. And if you have to get your vehicle serviced, or you're purchasing a new vehicle, you are either getting a refurbished vehicle, or you're getting, you know, you're getting it done before the Mercury retrograde. That's all I got to say for that. So then we have Venus and Mars. So Venus starts out retrograde as we hit 2022. You know, it started December 19th at 26 degrees, and Venus is going all the way back to 11 degrees of Capricorn. And so she's stationing to go direct on January 29th. And so there's definitely a reevaluation being done, and even conversations that have to do with what it is that you value, conversations that have to do with, you know, because this is your third house, Capricorn is your third house, this is your conversations. Maybe there's something going on with a sibling that you're talking to your sibling about. Maybe there is, you know, something going on. If you run a small business or you own a small business, there could be redoing of some things with that small business, or some paperwork or something that needs to be redone, because again, this is third house for you, and this has to do with your small business. This could also be maybe revisiting, taking a trip somewhere, like a short trip, like a weekend trip or something like that. And it's not going to be very far, but it's something that you've wanted to do, so you're going to do it. There's definitely some themes there. And Venus in your chart also rules your relationships. So this could be renegotiating, you know, a contract. Like this is literal, like verbal communication, written word, contract agreements and negotiations with a partner or through partnership, right? So just so you're aware of that as well. And then we will have Mars going retrograde on October 30th at 25 degrees of Gemini, and not stationing to go direct until 2023. So we'll get there at the end of next year when we get there. But what this means is that think back to 2020 when we had Venus going retrograde over these degrees. Think back to 2021 when we had Mercury going retrograde over these same degrees. And now here in 2022, we're having Mars go retrograde over these same degrees. So for you, this is your 8th house of joint finance, other people's money, inheritance, taxes, insurance, debt, even like who you owe money to or the institutions in which you owe money. That's a thing here. And then, you know, not only that, this is also your chart ruler, a co-ruler for you. So there's definitely a focus on maybe even healing past wounds and past traumas that, you know, Mars, now this is your chart ruler. First you had Venus, which was your 7th house and your 12th house, things coming back from the past, you know, back in 2020. And then in 2021, we had Mercury here, which is the ruler of this house for you. So maybe there was major healing going on for you then. And now with Mars here, Mars going over this area, this is your chart ruler. So there could definitely be a finalization of any type of healing or deep psychological work that you need to do. You're going to take action and get it done. And then I do want to talk about this a little bit. On February 14th, Mars and Venus come into an exact conjunction at 14 degrees of Capricorn, and they run together until March 10th. This is almost an entire month of them running together. And what this can mean is you know, communication, especially for you in partnership with other people. And really, it's going to be a lot of communicating from February until March. And so there can be great leaps and bounds in terms of how you're communicating with other people, who you're communicating with in partnership, because again, this is partly your chart ruler. This could also be employees, colleagues, and coworkers. This could also be your health, your wellness, your well-being, because, you know, Venus rules your relationships and your 12th house, and Mars rules you and your 6th house. So there's definitely some very interesting things going on here for you. And it's going to be going back into your they're going to be coming conjunct at the Jupiter-Saturn conjunction of December of 2020 in your, so this, these these are entering Aquarius and coming conjunct the same point that Jupiter and Saturn came conjunct in December of 2020. So there's definitely new developments on the home front for you in terms of what's going on here. This could be, you know, that Jupiter and Saturn conjunction for the next 20 years set something in motion that is now being highlighted in a different way in terms of by you and your partnerships with other people, and what it is that you're doing every single day and what's going on behind the scenes. So there's definitely a new development that's happening here. I haven't really looked hard into it in terms of like truly what the chart looks like and what else is going on. But this is definitely, you know, activating that Jupiter Saturn conjunction of 2020 as well. So just so you're aware of that in your 4th house. And then we have Jupiter. So Jupiter enters Pisces at the very end of 2021. Literally just, you know, a couple days before January 1st. So Jupiter and Pisces, the taste we got last, you know, May through July of Jupiter and Pisces, we'll be getting the full meal, right? Instead of a little bite, we're getting the full meal this year. And so Jupiter will be entering Pisces. This is your 5th house of fun, joy, play. You know, this is very expansive energy because Jupiter is coming home to a home sign for you. And in your 5th house, this is wildly romantic. This can be very passionate, you know, go-getter kind of things. This is in trine with your ascendant, in sextile with your descendant. So enjoy this, Scorpio, okay? You know, April 12th, we do have Jupiter and Neptune coming exact at 23 degrees, coming conjunct at 23 degrees. So if you have any planets or points, you know, if your ascendant or descendant is, you know, anywhere around that 23-degree mark of Scorpio, then you'll definitely really get the full benefits of this conjunction happening. It's a very magical thing. So just be aware of that. And on May 11th, Jupiter is entering Aries. This is entering your 6th house of service, what you're doing every single day, you know, how you're showing up in service, your schedule, even like how you're showing up every single day, doing the same things over and over again. And then, you know, it does station to go retrograde in July at 8 degrees of Aries. So we're getting a taste with, you know, with Jupiter entering your 6th house of the schedule maybe that you're going to have to keep for 2023. So definitely pay attention. Also pay attention to what's going on with your health. If you have any health issues that have, you know, come up for you or anything like that, pay attention to that. Jupiter can exacerbate things. Jupiter can also, you know, expand on things. So you could be very, very busy, you know, from May through October. Even when Jupiter goes retrograde, it's still going to be in your 6th house. So there can definitely be an uptick in terms of your schedule and what you're doing and the busyness that's going on every single day. And then October 29th, it does re-enter Pisces. And on November 23rd, it stations to go direct at 28 degrees of Pisces. So we're revisiting something here in your 5th house, you know, at the end of November, or, you know, between October and November and part of December as it goes direct and heads out of Pisces. That is, you know, something that brings you joy, fun, play, romance, sex, you know, children, if you have them. So there's definitely a revisit here of something that that brings you joy. So there's a reevaluation going on of your schedule and what brings you joy for this part for Jupiter for this year. And then we do have Saturn starting out at 11 degrees of Aquarius, just barely off that exact square with Uranus. So this is still very intense energy, finalizing energy. The final changes that needed to happen are probably happening all at once, and it's for the long haul, these changes. There's no going back. So then in June, you know, on June 4th, Saturn does station to go retrograde at 25 degrees Aquarius, and it goes direct on October 23rd. So there is definitely something going on here in terms of your home, your property, your place of living, your family, your origin, right? Where you come from, your parents themselves, your lineage, even like your family line. There could definitely be something going on here. And maybe even, like I said, having to do with a home, a purchase of a home, or things that need to be redone on the home. You know, Saturn definitely rules structures. So being here in the 4th house, I would say that maybe there's some repairs or some work that needs to be done on the home. And so that's really gonna kick up and you know, between that 18 and 25 degrees, depending on where your IC is, or depending on where your ascendant or descendant is, depends on how hard this is going to be hitting you, or if, you know, it's not quite there yet for you. So there is that as well. And then Uranus, and I do apologize, it should say Taurus where it says Aquarius. Uranus starts out at 10 degrees of Taurus, retrograde this year, and it stations at 10 degrees on January 18th. And so for the month of January and part of the month of February, we're going to be feeling very liberated and very disruptive in our lives. There's going to be a lot of disruption here in this Taurus area for you, especially for your relationships. So there could be a lot of hiccups, a lot of changes, a lot of wild ups and downs, people coming in, people going out. You know, negotiations and agreements are definitely going to be kind of wild for you. Clients, if you have them, your partnership, either your spouse or, you know, long-term friendships, and yeah, business partners as well. So there's definitely a lot of disruption happening at the beginning of this year and a lot of shakeups that are going on, but it's for the highest and best, right? Like Uranus just wants to liberate you from any stuck, stagnant relationships that you've been in, and to bring in the new, more exciting, more liberating experience in relationship for you. And so it does station to go retrograde at 18 degrees of Taurus on August 24th. So, you know, between 10 and 18 degrees, depending on where your descendant is and your ascendant, your IC, and your midhaven point, this could affect you a little bit more in terms of your career and your home and you yourself. But, you know, just know that it's for your highest and best, and Uranus just wants to liberate you from any stuck or stagnant energy. And then we have Neptune, and Neptune is starting out at 20 degrees of Pisces, getting all the way to 25 and then going back to 22 degrees. So this is happening in your 5th house. So there's Neptune, though, is very dreamy, and in your 5th house, you yourself could be feeling more dreamy. You could be feeling more inspired and more creative and more in tune and in touch with higher realms and different energies out and about, right? And so you could definitely be coming off a little more dreamy, a little more you know, it's maybe spacey, or, you know, more maybe softer, depending on where your ascendant is as a Scorpio, you know, anywhere between 20 and 25 degrees. And then, yeah, that's what I have for you in terms of that. We do have the conjunction that I talked about when Jupiter enters Pisces as well. So there's definitely going to be some really nice energy for you here in this 5th house, still continuing on. And then we have Pluto, and Pluto starts out at 25 degrees of Capricorn for the year. And it's going to, you know, Venus is going to come conjunct Pluto a couple of times. So it's, or this last time once it goes direct. So there's definitely some changes for you in terms of your communication going on, like I said, and contracts and agreements that I said earlier. I don't really need to touch on that, but, you know, Pluto will be getting to 28 degrees and stationing to go direct at 26 degrees. So depending on where your descendant is, if you're a late degree Scorpio ascendant, this will definitely be really good for contracts, agreements, and negotiations, and communicating very deeply and very passionately with partners or in partnership with other people. And this could see, depending if you are a late degree, you know, Scorpio rising, this could definitely see you speaking and being very honest and very forthright with your partners or in partnership as well. So that is what I have for you. So I will stop sharing, and I am like really super close. So thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I hope you give it a like, share, subscribe. There'll be more this year coming from Apogee the Moon or Moon Apogee Astrology. So yeah, have a great one, guys.